This weekend, I was super lucky and super fortunate to get to go to probably the premier event in high school basketball and one of the best events in the NBA scouting world. If you haven't guessed from the thumbnail, I really got lucky and got to go watch the Nike Hoop Summit here in Portland, Oregon. I live probably a good hour and a half away, so I had to make the drive up. Traffic was crazy. It was a weekend, it's Portland, it's the big city here in Oregon, but it was definitely worth it. I was really excited to go watch the games, and I managed to get some pretty good seats sitting right behind the scoring table, probably like 10 rows back or something like that. I was just in the red section, but going to the game was super cool. I got to watch the players in person, which honestly is a totally different experience than just watching them on TV or through highlights or stuff like that. And I went last year, and this year I'm really glad that I got to go again. One of the cooler things about being there in person is that I got to meet one of the guys who I follow when it comes to the NBA draft. His name is Rafael Barlow, and he runs NBA Big Board. Any of you guys who may or may not follow podcasts or like the NBA draft, he's the guy who runs the NBA Big Board channel. He was there. I got to meet him. I got to talk to him a little bit. So shout out to Rafael, and I'm really glad I got to meet him. But with that being said, I am excited to talk about things that I got to see, some of my takeaways, some of my thoughts, my opinions, and I'll make sure you guys are well informed when it comes to this next draft cycle, which I am very excited about, at least in comparison to the 2024 draft, who has been a little bit disappointing, not the strongest class, and at this point we're kind of tired of talking about the same thing. And so as the cycle goes, we're ready for the next big thing. Hey guys, welcome to the latest installment of By the Rim. I'm your host Collin, like always, and today we're going to get into the Nike Hoop Summit and the game. And also I forgot to mention, I got a t-shirt from the t-shirt toss, so that's another cool thing that I was excited about. But let's skip to the intro, let's get right into this. To get things started, I'll briefly touch on the girls' game, which I did watch. I got to see warm-ups, I got to watch the game, it was really cool. For the most part, the girls' game was kind of not really much of a contest. The world team was just blowing out the US for majority of the game. I think they maintained a 15-point lead through 3 quarters, and only into the 4th quarters when USA really started to pick up. It was a lot of Joyce Edwards just kind of driving to the rim, doing a couple of spin moves and throwing up a heavily contested shot, but she ended the game with like 21 points, I think, or something like that, and she was the team's leading scorer. She really picked up in the second half after I think she was like 2 for 11 in the first half, shooting really poorly. You could really tell the difference between the US team and the world team and the way they play. And that age-old stereotype about US players being kind of selfish by nature and really playing a lot of one-on-one was really standing out, because the world team was just moving the ball, playing unselfish. They were getting the ball where it needed to go, and they got a lot of open shots. They were just kicking the US's butt because the US was just playing a lot of ISO ball. They were playing selfish. They were missing wide open passes. I can't tell you the amount of times I saw somebody do a pump fake, do a quick tween dribble, and then throw up a bad shot, or just try to barrel into the paint where there was 3 girls who were like 6'5". Like, you're not going to get that shot up. But the 4th quarter did end up being really interesting, as Joyce Edwards and Kennedy Smith both kind of just went on a tag team, and they just kind of cooked that entire 4th quarter, and they managed to bring the lead all the way back until the last minute or two, I believe. It was like neck and neck. It was 80-80, I think. And then I believe Kennedy Smith hit a 3, and then on the next possession back after getting a stop, she was fouled, and she pretty much iced the game from there. So, a good game from the girls, and it was fun to watch. Now, getting to the boys' game. This game was a lot more fun than I expected. Last year's game was really good. They played really hard, but this year, not only did they play really hard, because it's a really competitive class, which is one of the things that scouts and all these sports writers have been saying is a really big thing with this class, that they played really hard. They were super competitive. I saw plenty of guys diving on the floor for loose balls. This class is just considerably more talented. The game started off pretty hot. They were going quick immediately. USA won the tip. Asa Newell got up over Kaman Malawach, who, by the way, is like 7'2", 7'3". That's a big dude. And Asa Newell's like 6'9". He's got some ups. And they started off with, I think it was an Ace Bailey pull-up jumper. Knocked it from the top of the key. Straight cash. We knew what Ace was going to do. He came in ready to go. But without taking up too much time, I'm just going to go into it. USA started off really good. They were leading by 4 or 5 throughout most of the 4th quarter, and then it started to go a little bit back and forth. It was a great offensive showcase. Both teams shot fairly well. I think more towards the second half, USA started to really pull ahead with the lead, but we saw a lot of really good offensive performances, which I'm about to go into. For me, I think the most impressive player on the floor, no contest by far, was Nolan Traore, French British guard, 6'4", 6'5", I believe. Dude was just moving at a different pace. One thing that I've managed to pick up in all the years of watching basketball, playing basketball, you can tell an NBA level athlete versus the rest of his competition immediately. The way that Traore was able to just change pace so quickly and so smoothly was super impressive to me. Like, I remember watching him just kind of like, it almost looked like he's slithering up the court, and then he would just go by someone with a really long first step. It was really quick, and it felt like he finished everything. He was hitting his layups. It felt like he only missed like one floater, and then he had a dunk. He had a really cool step back three in the first half, and on top of that, his vision was incredible. He looked like an NBA point guard out there. As of now, I have him in my top 5. Super impressive. Easily the best player on the floor during the game. The second most impressive player to me was also from the world team. It was AJ DeBonsa, who is currently the #1 player in the 2025 high school class from Prolific Prep. He's representing Congo and Jamaica because both of his parents are Congo and from Jamaica, and so it's really cool to get to see him represent. I don't know if a lot of people know this. The world team doesn't necessarily have to be all foreigners. We have a lot of kids who have foreign parents or might have been born in another country but raised in the US, and so it's just kind of representing, these other countries and the talent that comes from there. But AJ DeBonsa was arguably the most impressive player considering his age. He just turned 17 a month ago, and he's a reclass up, so dude was impressive. He's got full scoring package. He's a 3-level guy. He's 6'8", super long, super athletic, really crafty. The way that he dribbles is so funky to me. It looks funny. It's like herky-jerky, if that makes sense, but he plays really strong at the same time. Like I said with Traore, he looks like he kind of slithers. Somehow, he's also plays really strong. So like, he's very physical, he absorbs contact, he plays really well off of 2 feet, which is a great skill. He's got great IQ, great feel for the game. He's got good passing instincts, he's got good passing delivery. I don't think there's a single weakness he has in his game, at least at this level. There's always going to be those small things that you just clean up as you get older, but as of now, he's like, in my opinion, the consensus best prospect in high school regardless of class right now. Now to bring things back to the good old US of A, we got Cooper Flagg, who was the MVP of the USA team. He was doing a lot of everything like he's always advertised to be. He really is that guy. Right now, he is the best player in high school, but I think AJ's probably going to pass him up soon, if not already. But he's the best player in his class by far. Actually, I shouldn't say by far, because Ace Bailey is right there. But as of now, Cooper Flagg is the best player in his class, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to be the best prospect when it comes to coming into the NBA. One thing that bothers me about Cooper is that I don't know if he has that real scoring ability to really be that #1 option or the top guy or the top pick that people expect of him, because he's really good at everything else, but he's not great at creating his own shot. In the game, he got like 3 pull-up mid-ranges in a row, which you'd think that means, oh, he's got that scoring package, but it was all off of one dribble, or they were super heavily contested, so it's not really a good quality shot. And he's 6'8", 6'9", so he is getting that off right now, which is great to see. He's hitting those shots even if they're contested, so there's definitely still a base there for him to be a good scorer, but I just don't see him being able to be a shot creator like Ace Bailey, like Dylan Harper, who I'm about to talk about in a bit. Other than that, Cooper played good on defense. He had a couple of good blocks. He was in foul trouble a lot for the first half, so we didn't get to see a whole lot of him. There was some kid behind me chirping about anytime Cooper Flagg was on the floor, he's like, give it to Cooper. Cooper shoot it. Cooper shot it. Is Cooper left-handed? It was really funny. I was laughing about that with my friend. Cooper was doing everything as expected, playing hard defense, passing the ball. I think he threw a lob to Isaiah Evans, and then he had a funny celebration for a future teammate, which was really cool. Cooper Flagg doing everything as expected. Still going to be a top 3 prospect in my opinion. I don't know if he's that #1 guy. Now I'm going to talk about Ace Bailey, who really is starting to fill into those Paul George and Brandon Miller comps pretty strongly. He really looks like a good 3-level scorer. I think the first shot of the game, like I said earlier, it was a pull-up mid-range at the nail, knocked down. He had a couple of pull-up corner threes. He was hitting his jump shots. He had a dunk or two. He had a poster dunk sometime in the 3rd quarter, I believe. It was pretty impressive. He jumped up and I think he got it over Ulrich Chomche. But Ace Bailey, he really looks like he's going to be a great shot creator. He's got a quick trigger. He's not scared to pull that thing. Ace Bailey is absolutely not afraid to hunt his own shot. Played strong on defense. He made a couple of good reads in the passing lanes. So he got a couple of steals, I believe. And he made some good passes as well, so a good performance from him. He's really looking like he might be that guy to be the #1 pick this next year. Dylan Harper. He's possibly going to be my #1 pick for the 2025 draft, at least to start. From what I've seen, not just here in the Nike Hoop Summit, where he played pretty well, not as great as the McDonald's All-American game, where he was co-MVP with Derek Queen. Dylan Harper literally just looks like Cade Cunningham if he was left-handed, had a lot more intensity to his game. According to the listing on the Nike Hoop Summit, he's 6'7" now. So a 6'7" point guard, very sturdy build. I think they listed him at 215 or something like that. He's fairly athletic in the sense that he's really strong. Like, watching him play, he just moves people. He's a really good rebounder. He picks up full court, plays really hard on both ends, which is great to see. He's got solid passing vision, but one criticism that I had during the game, and that was that he threw a lot of bounce passes that really should have been, straight line, chest pass, or one-handed dot, and that might be a cause of concern when we're questioning whether he's really a point guard or not. But regardless, he's been awesome throughout the All-Star circuit so far. I still really like him. He's a really good scorer. This game, he didn't score super well. He was only 4 for 11, and it felt like he was forcing a lot of drives to the rim. Regardless, he still played well on defense. He was making sure that his presence was felt throughout the whole game. And I still really like Dylan Harper, and I think right now I'm going to have him as my #1 player. Now we have this year's mystery man for the 2024 draft, if he potentially enters, which is Uru Shomche. He looked really good even in limited minutes and limited touches. If you look at the box score, he only had, I believe, 4 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 blocks, which is still really good. But watching the game, it looked like he was very effective. He communicated really well. I was sitting midsection right behind the scorer's table, and I could hear him from up there. He was communicating really well on defense. I hear him calling out ices, calling out switches, and which is really good for a center especially. He has legitimate passing vision. So he only recorded 1 assist in this game. It was a really nice bounce pass from the top of the key, Sabonis style. They threw the ball into him. I think he did like a couple of jab steps while there was action going on around him. VJ Edgecombe made a nice cut from the back, so I think he was on the right corner, and he made a cut behind Ace Bailey, I believe, and Chomche threw a dime pretty much right into his hands, and he went up for a dunk over somebody. It was a really nice play. He had a couple of other really good passes that didn't result in assists, or even, I think they became hockey assists, but you can really see the vision there. From what I've seen, reading through some reports on the practices, some of the scouts and coaches were saying that he has legitimate passing skill. I think I'm going to put him into my top 20 for the 2024 draft, which a big board's still going to come out soon. I haven't put it out yet, but I'll make sure you guys get it soon. Now, bringing things back to the U.S. side, Asa Newell had a really good game. I think he really displayed that his skill set is going to be a lot more than what was shown at Montverde Academy. So for the game, he put up 5 threes, which I don't know how many threes he's taken on the Montverde season, but I don't think it was many. He was only 1 for 5. The form looks really nice. He had no hesitation when he was pulling them. He was trying to punish Malawach for playing at a deep drop where Asa was standing there wide open at the top of the key. But in the first half, he was relatively quiet. He hit his first 3 of the game, and then he was like 1 for 6 for the rest of the first half until he hit like a floater or something. Then in the second half, he really turned up, got a couple of lobs. He had some dunks, which is what he's known for. I like the fact that he got to show some of his versatility on offense, that he's not just a dunker, not just a rim runner at 6'9". He's probably going to play a lot of backup center to start his career, but if he can develop his handle and his jump shot a little bit more, I think he could probably play the floor, be more of a stretch guy, which would be really good for his career because those guys are making a lot of money right now. Asa Newell, great performance. I liked what I saw. He also pulled down 10 rebounds all over the glass. He was making it really hard for Malawach to really get anything going, and I'm going to talk about Malawach next. So with Kaman Malawach, unfortunately, I think he was probably the biggest disappointment of the night. He played pretty poorly, honestly. He fumbled the ball a few times. He was missing finishes at the rim, which they're contested, but he's 7'2", 7'3", going over 6'9" Asa Newell. So I want him to try and finish those more. But he's 17. He's really young, and I think he's one of the younger guys in this Hoop Summit. Outside of the underclassmen and Dibansa and Jaden Quaintance, who was also 16 as a senior. Malawach, just his touch around the rim wasn't great. He was not getting dunks. It felt like his feel wasn't there. He had 2 blocks that I got to see, and he communicated really well. Like I said, with Chonche, that's something I think they've been preaching at the NBA Academy in Africa, is just being able to communicate well as a big, because you have to anchor the defense, especially if you're a big like Malawach. And so I could hear him calling out things. I like that. He moves relatively well for being 7'2" and not like skinny. Overall, disappointing to say the least. I'm hoping that Shire can either toughen him up or just teach him on some of those cues that you're going to need to learn, not only in college but going to the NBA. Another guy I forgot to mention earlier, but VJ Edgecombe played pretty well. He didn't shoot the greatest percentages, but he was definitely displaying that he was athletic as hell, that's for sure. He had a couple of really nice dunks, not just in transition, but even in the half court. He made a couple of really athletic plays. He even had one block that I thought was really impressive. I don't remember when it happened, but he got up and I think it was Ace Bailey who was going for a shot and he just got sent back. VJ Edgecombe continuing to display why he's probably going to be another Baylor guard who goes in the lottery. Another guy who was fairly impressive and had a pretty loud 8 or 7 points, I think, was Boogie Fland. He's showing why those Kentucky guards are not going to die off anytime soon as long as they keep doing what they're doing. Boogie Fland was creating space at a crazy level. It felt like he was getting every shot off that he wanted. He would just get by guys. He had a couple of really nice floaters. He had one really tough finish where he went chest to chest with somebody. He brought the ball back and then just did like a nice scoop and threw it off the top of the backboard almost. He's showing his dexterity, his ability to just score at will almost, as not just a shooter, but as a rim threat as a 6'1", 6'2" guard. I think I'm going to put him in my lottery for now. It's hard to write off Kentucky guards, even though Calipari's not even there. As of now, we don't even know if he's going to stay at Kentucky, but we'll see how that goes. Great game for Boogie Fland. It was fun to watch. But to kind of wrap things up, some other notes that I had. Quiet games from Trey Johnson. He didn't shoot very well, but he was just doing his thing out there, trying to get shots up, shooting from deep range. He shot really well in the McDonald's game, but this time they just weren't falling. It was a pretty quiet night from the World Team bench. Didn't get much production from just about anybody. Jaden Quaintance played fairly well, coming off the bench, being an ultra athletic 6'9" center. He's definitely a center at this point. He's only 16, so I'm hoping that he's going to keep growing because his arms are freakishly long. That was something I noticed from the stands. It's like, if I had to guess, he's probably got like a 7'3", 7'4" wingspan, maybe longer. So I hope he can get to at least like 6'11", so he can really be a viable center in the NBA. Till then, definitely looks good at doing what he does. I said this in a write-up that I had after the McDonald's game, but he looks like if you took an athletic 5'8" or 5'7" guy and then you just made him 6'9". But my final thoughts: the game ended 75-98. USA won. This class is going to be very impressive. We didn't even get to see a lot of the best players, like in my opinion, Carter Bryant. I really like Donnie Freeman, who neither of them were playing in this game, but I think they're going to be potential lottery picks for next year. The World Team had a lot of really young guys, like these guys are sophomores and juniors in high school age versus seniors from the US, so it's hard to kind of make that leap for them. It's better they get that experience now, and then they can get some criticism and evaluation from the NBA scouts that are in the gym with them during the practices. Hopefully in the coming years they'll be able to improve their skill and their abilities and make a bigger impact in the following games. But that's all I got for you guys. I'm hoping next year I can be one of the guys who gets a media pass so that I can go to the practices and get to film, get to talk to the guys. I think that would be really cool, just to get some more insight into how they came up, training, influences, stuff like that. Things that people want to see, because I remember being a kid and wanting to be in this position. I wanted so bad to play in this game, be All-American, but I just didn't have the resources. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just working hard, trying to do stuff, but I'm hoping that I could be someone who can communicate this stuff to the younger generation of upcoming hoopers, what these All-Americans and future pros are going to be doing and how they got to where they are. But I want to thank you guys for watching and taking your time to listen to me talk about this stuff. I really love basketball and I really love sharing this stuff with you guys, so thank you. It's about midnight, 1 a.m. when I'm recording this, so I'm trying to get this out as soon as I can. Hope everyone has a great day.